Hey, what's up guys? typeForced here, and I wanted to make this video because Darkfall Rise of Agon is launching May 5th. I wanted to let you guys know about this game because this is my favorite game of all time. Before I started my streaming career, I played Darkfall since the day it launched to the day it went down. It was like 5 or 6 years of Darkfall that I played, and by far, since I played this game, no other game has touched it. There have been good games, games with better graphics, games that were easier to get into, but nothing touched the scope and the sand that's in the game Darkfall Rise of Agon. Big Picture Games did pick this game up after it was officially shut down by the original owners, Adventuring, and they have decided to turn it into what it should have always been by increasing a lot of the things that were really holding the game back and making them better. We'll get into that later, but let's just say it's at the best state it's ever been. So if you guys are interested in playing this game, I think that would be awesome. I'm going to have a referral link down in the chat below. You guys could use that to make an account and get that going. That would help out a lot. But I wanted to let you guys know probably the most important factor right out the gate. What are the races and what are the benefits? The first thing you do is you make a character. And I want you guys to know what are the races and what are the benefits, because there are some very unique benefits. Now, none of these are going to change the game, but none of them are going to break the game. How about that? But they're going to change it in minute ways that might be something that tailors to you. All right, guys, let's get into it. All right, and our first race is going to be Alfar. Alfars, you could relate them to kind of a shorter variant of a dark elf. They've got the ears like the elf, and they have some of their abilities, but more in the dark side, more of the magic side. Alfars are going to be your shortest class in the game. Now, what that's going to do is that's going to relate to melee range, how far they can hit with a melee weapon, as it is based off of your height in game. Now, Alfars, they look kind of cool. I actually played an Alfar my entire time before, but there wasn't a lot of benefits in the original Darkfall. Well, with Rise of Agon coming out, there are now some more severe benefits that are actually pretty nice, and I wanted to go over those for you right now. So outside of potentially the look, the lore that you'll have on the side here, you wouldn't know much else about them, but I want to go ahead and give you those insights so you can help make a decision, a formed decision. Alright, so here we go, Alfars. There's some information for you to read here, but basically what I want to touch on is the 3 racials. Alfar Cunning, which increases your maximum mana points by 15. Good for mage or casting variants of how you want to play the game. Alfar Resilience decreases magical damage received by 1.5 points. So that's basically like having armor on towards any magical damage without any armor. So Alfars inherently are going to take less magic damage than any other race, which is really good because magic is the main source of damage, and so that is extremely good. Alfar Intellect, which increases the durability on crafted staves. So if you are a crafter and an Alfar, you're going to be able to craft the highest durability staffs out of any race in the game, which will give you a premium not only to the benefit of having higher durability, but also to other people potentially that want to buy your wares. Now, this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier, the racial reach. As you can kind of see, each class has a different reach, and Alfar, being the smallest class in the game, not only have the smallest hitbox, which yes, your hitbox does matter on your size, but they also have the smallest reach. Now, they did really do a good job, Big Picture Games, on making the reach not as big of a deal. Before, Alfars may have even been bugged, but had such little reach that it was almost silly to ever try to get into a melee fight with one of the better classes. But now they've really normalized them and made it a lot better, but still Alfars are a little bit lower. As you can see, the female and Marriott Veils, the female and male variants are slightly different, 2.46 to 2.48, and you can compare that to the rest of the races. So if you're really a melee person, this might come into play for you. Alright, that's it for the Alfars. Ah, yes, the mighty Dwarf. We have the Dwarf, you guys. Now, the Dwarf is actually going to be a bit taller than the Alfar. They are quite sturdy, as you can see, but they are going to be taller than the Alfar, almost as tall as the human. So they are short in stature comparatively to their body size, but they're actually a pretty decent decently large hitbox in the game. The dwarfs, of course, have their really strong and stout armor, and they're going to be masters of the crafting, and we're going to go over that. There's going to be some information up here if you guys would like to read that when you're creating your characters, but I'm going to jump right into the racial benefits of the dwarfs. All right, here we go. Dwarven Perseverance. It's an active ability that reduces stamina that's used in combat. So you have an actual, instead of a passive, it's an active that you use, and it has a cooldown, and while it's actually active, you're going to use less stamina. So it's going to be really beneficial, as stats play a really important role in this game. That's a good one. Dwarven Steelmaster. Now this is probably what you'd expect. You increase the durability of your melee weapons and armors. So any crafting dwarf is going to have the highest durability of melee weapons and armors comparatively to all the other races. This is really going to be big, as durability specifically on weapons, those staffs that the Alfar have, and melee weapons of the dwarfs really come into play, as you don't want to have to buy as many when you're using them in PvP or PvE. That durability is going to be quite nice. Now their last racial is Dwarven Durability, which increases maximum health by up to 10 points, so they're a little bit more tanky. I did want to go over their reach. They're just slightly higher than the dwarf. Actually, than the Alfar. The male Alfar and the female dwarf are about the same reach, and the male dwarf is just a little bit higher. So you can see, as we go through the taller and taller races, the reach also extends. So if you do plan to be swinging those swords, you're going to get a little bit more reach out of the dwarf than the Alfar. All right, guys, that's your stout dwarf. And humans. Here we are with the human race. Now this is a pretty basic race. Almost every game has humans, and what do you know, they kind of look like maybe you or I. Now we got some role play on the side if you're looking to read that. I'm gonna jump right into the racial benefits. All right, with humans, I do want to say though, they're about like a very middle ground. They don't really excel in any one thing, but they're very overall decent in everything. That's what you could kind of think of them, and it'll kind of show with their race and their reach. As you can see, their reach is right in the middle, and with their racial abilities, you're going to get human ingenuity, which increases the durability of foods by up to 50%. So in this game, you're going to constantly want to be eating consumables, food, which could be from apples, lizards, baked bread, all the way up to some really nice lobster and some nice pies. And those food have a duration, and this is going to increase those by 50%. That's actually really helpful just throughout your life as a human. You're going to be using half as much food. Willpower increases your mana by 10 points, so that's going to help you a little bit with your mana casting those spells. Longevity, which is increase the duration of buffs and debuffs, and this one's actually new and really cool. So you have self buffs in this game, you have buff others in this game, and you have debuffs in this game, and all of those durations are going to be increased with human longevity. So that's a really cool thing. Humans are really just about sustaining, and it's kind of right in the middle. Now if we go to the reach, it does look like the female reach on human is about the same as the dwarf, and a little bit less than the male dwarf. And the male human is going to have a bit more reach than that male dwarf. So you can see the reach getting a little bit further and further. Again, all of these reaches are increasing by maybe about half a step, or just about a step. So it's not the end of the world, but it's giving you little advantages, and that really adds up. So that's the human for you. And we have the Mirrodin, or the elf. Maybe like the wood elf in some games that you might think. This is the elven race of the game, and I wanted to let you guys know elves are actually getting pretty tall. They're near the tallest race in the game, and that's mainly going to increase your hitbox vertically, but you are going to have an increased hitbox. But also that does come with an increased range as well. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into the racial abilities for the Mirrodin. Alright, so we're going to have Mirrodin Sight. That increases greatly your identification range. So you will have a crosshair whether in first or third person, no matter what weapon you have out. And if you put that crosshair over another player, you'll be able to see their name, as well as if they're friendly or if they are not friendly, like a PK, red or blue. as well as what clan they fill it themselves with. And you're going to be able to see that only within a certain range. The average player might be able to see that for maybe say 10 meters. I think elves almost go up to like say 50 meters. I don't know the exact numbers because there's not really a measuring tape in game, but let's just go with you're probably going to have about 5 times increased identification range. Now that would be really helpful for someone that just likes information, or particularly someone that likes to be a scout, to see whose forces those are or if that guy's friendly, and you'll get to see it before anyone else will in the game. They get Mirrored in Insight, which increases your stamina by 15 points. It's quite nice. And they get Precision, which increases damage of all bows by 2.5 points. So as you'd expected, they've got a bow on their back. They are the Wood Elves. They are Legolas. They do the most damage with the bow in the game. So if you are looking to be an archer, this very well may be your race to pick. And going over that racial reach, they are now increasing up quite a big jump actually from human to Mirrodin, as you guys can see, 2.52 to 2.544. And it does look like the female and males are about the same. I'm not sure if that's a typo. It potentially is, because it does look like the male's a bit taller, but you know, maybe it's not. Maybe they just made them the same. The Mirrodin, or the elf, or maybe what some would say is a wood elf, looks like it's going to be your Legolas archer, your scout, with actually really good melee range. This will be a class to look out for. Ah, yes, the mighty Mehun. All right, lots of people will just go straight in with wolf, and I don't know, that's what I call them a lot, but Mehuns are the official term of this race. These are basically, I don't know exactly the lore, but let's say it's like a human and a wolf. Yeah, and now you have a wolf-like humanoid standing on 2 legs. If you do a little bit of research, a little bit of the background, they kind of say they will potentially run on all 4s one day. Currently, that's not in the game. You cannot run on all 4s, although I think that would be super cool. That's not in the game, so if you did hear that, that's not the case here. They do have an increased speed, and we'll go over that though as we go over the racial abilities. Now, right before we do that, I do want to say this is the largest hitbox in the game. This is also the largest melee range, as you'll see. So if you are worried about having a big hitbox, then this class, this race, may be something you want to steer away from, as it has the largest hitbox in the game. But let's jump into the racial abilities for the Mehun. Alright, for the first thing, you're going to get Mehun Hunt Speed. It increases movement speed while running. Now this is important, not sprinting and strafing. So that basically means that every race in the game will sprint at the same speed as you do if you play Mehun. But while you are running, now this is mainly strafing left and right, you are going to have an increased movement. So that's really important, is if you're battling someone and they're shooting arrows or spells at you, those arrows and spells have travel time. And if you can change direction and move out of the way faster than anybody else, it's a humongous advantage. It makes this character really hard to hit in those strafe battles that you end up having in this game. It's also really nice to avoid some damage coming from mobs as well if you can get used to it. It is a technical and quite a hard thing to really master, but if you do, you can really use it to a large advantage. You're going to get Mehun Endurance, which is stamina bonus of 15, it's always nice, and Mehun Reflexes, which is a 1.5 natural protection to melee and archery. So naturally you're going to take 1.5 less damage per every hit of melee and archery. So maybe there's not a lot of cues to magic in this class, although they can be great with it, but definitely with their reach coming in at the longest reach of any race in the game, as you guys could see, up to 2.639 for melee, so really long. They also have the great stability by being able to take less damage in both melee and archery. So it's actually a really good class. I was really having a hard debate if I wanted to play, or excuse me, I keep saying class, race. I was really having a hard debate if I want to play this race. I do want to tell you one thing, coming together with a really, really big hitbox as a really tall race, it can be quite hard to see what you're doing in third person. Third person is melee, either a two-handed weapon or a two-handed weapon that swings, like a polearm or a greatsword or a great axe, or a one-handed weapon is going to put you in third-person view. And if you have some other race, maybe a shorter one, specifically Alphars, and they get close to you, your hitbox is so big that it actually covers them up and makes it hard to see. So you might want to, I don't know, you might want to look at this, maybe watch some streams, see if someone's playing this. It can be quite bothersome for some players. Maybe not you, maybe you'll be an archer, maybe you'll be a magic person, maybe you won't even mind the blocking of the character. But this is going to be your biggest hitbox and your biggest reach of any race in the game, and that natural protection and that hunt speed is really good. That's the wolf for you guys. And the last but not least, the orc. This is everything you would expect with an orc. They are gross, they are slimy, they are they make me the orc. Alright, I don't even know what to say. Some people love this race, and it is definitely not a bad race. I've never been able to wrap myself around being an orc, but don't let that deter you. Orcs have some really big benefits in this game. First of all, their height is actually pretty good compared to the rest, so they're going to have a really nice melee, and their racial abilities really complement that as well. So let's just go over that now. Alright, their racial abilities is Orcish Brutality, which increases the damage of all melee weapons by up to 2.5 points. As you would expect with the big brute orc, you're going to do more damage with every melee swing, whether that's a really fast hitting dagger is going to do that much damage, or kind of a slower two-handed weapon. You're going to do a lot of extra melee damage. Think of potentially PvE where you're hitting hundreds or thousands of times in a couple of hours. All that's really going to add up. So orcs are definitely going to be your heaviest hitters in the game. They also have Orcus Toughness, which is going to give you increased HP. And then they have Orcus Capacity, which is going to increase the carry weight up to 15 additional pounds or kilograms. I'm not sure what they use, but 15 units. So that's actually nice. You can carry a little bit more with them. Now, as you guys can see, the racial reach, it's not quite as good as the Mehun, but it is definitely better than the Myrden, the Human, the Dwarf, and the Alfar. So orcs are going to have your second longest reach, and they're just going to be I mean, you can use them for anything. Of course, in this game, you could do magic or whatever, but they're definitely going to be really, really good at melee. As you can see, their racial abilities really complement that. All right, you guys, that's what we've got for the races. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys learned something or maybe got a question answered. I do want to say that no matter what race you pick, everything can do everything. You can be a caster orc, a magic orc, and a robe if you wanted to, or you can be a melee version Alfar. You can do anything you want. These are just little tiny racial benefits that actually help you towards one direction or the other, and that's completely up to you. Before we end, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the starting position of all of the races on the map, so you'll have an idea of where you start. And here's that map that I was talking about. Alright, so this is the mainlands of Agon. You're going to have Nif up here, which is an ice island. Yassam, the jungle island. Karen is like a wasteland. And then Ruby will be down on the bottom left. It's a desert. But no races actually spawn in those locations. They don't have any of their starter cities there. All the starter cities are going to be on the main island or mainland of Agon. So you're going to have your Mehun lands, which is going to be your wolf area, will be in the top left. Dwarfs will be in the northern area. Orc lands is in the northeast around a volcano and fiery pits. It actually is really fitting. Human lands is southeast. Directly south is going to be Alfar and a bunch of acid and underground areas. And to the west is going to be the Myrden or the Elf, and a really beautiful, like, huge tree of life sort of like area with just really big trees and roaming hills and a lot of really nice architecture. In the middle, just in case you guys haven't played this game before, it's really deadly in the middle, but if you guys don't really travel there right away and you really just stick to the areas around your race, racial spawn is going to be really nice. Now, if you do have a friend that spawns with a different race, you will be able to go and play with them. As all races are going to be allied in some sense, as long as they're blue. There's going to be alignment in this game, and as long as you are not killing other good people, you're going to stay good. And then you could go to their areas or they could come to yours. Now, if you do decide to start PKing other players, that's fine. Just know that these starting areas are going to have a sort of defense called a guard tower that will not let you come nearby anymore, and you're going to have to find another place to live. All right, you guys, I hope you try out Darkfall. It is going to be $10.99 for the first month and $10.99 actually for every month, but they do have a cool system just like WoW and a lot of other games where there's coins, and these coins can be purchased in-game from players and they can be used to pay for your month's subscription. So potentially you could pay 10 bucks one time, and then using in-game currency that you farmed or you gathered or you killed someone for, you could trade for these coins and continuously to pay for your subscription, which is really cool for those that are worried about the cost of this game. Again, this is my favorite game of all time, and I hope you guys liked it. I'm gonna have some links down below with the information that I got, and so if you guys wanted to double check it at any point, you'll be able to go ahead and see where that's at, as well as a referral link that if you guys do use, you click it, you make an account, and then you end up getting a subscription. That helps me out a lot. I do plan to be streaming this game, twitch.tv/typeForced. You could check us out there. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave us a comment down below. Like the video if it helped you out, or if you think it would help a friend, feel free to send it to them or a new player. And I will be using your comments and suggestions, and just as I play the game, seeing where people could use a little bit more info and making a couple more videos. All right, you guys, that's it for me. typeForced out. You guys have a good one.